Do you get thrown off by unsolicited advice? People coming up to you out of the blue and giving you suggestions, tips and hints about what you're doing, why it's right, why it's wrong, and then you get a bit overwhelmed and kind of stop doing anything. If that's you, then stick with me, as I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do when someone gives you unsolicited advice to actually see if this advice is going to help you or hinder you. Welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Daniel James, and as always, if you're new here, welcome. So this episode comes off the back of me walking my dog. So for those of you who don't know, I've got an 8-month-old Rottweiler puppy called Luna. Now she's getting professionally trained, and as part of her professional training, she is on a long line. She's on the long line for the first couple of months, and then we decided to take her off. She had a bit of an incident where her recall wasn't great, so now she's back on the long line. And yesterday, I was out walking Luna when a lady came up to me and said, "Does your dog really need to be on that long line?" And she was quite assertive and almost annoyed at the fact that my dog was on a long line. So I just took my time and said, "Yes, actually she does." And then I explained to her why she was on that long line and why it wasn't just beneficial for Luna, but actually beneficial for her dog and any other dog that Luna may come into contact with. Because for me, when you've got a big dog, they need to have good recall. You need to have the ability that no matter what they're doing, they hear the call and they come straight back. I walked Tom and it got me thinking, God, if I didn't realise and understand why I had Luna on that long line, this lady could have potentially talked me out of having Luna do this amazing exercise that's going to help her become a brilliant dog with fantastic recall. Because it's not only good for recall, it's good for other things as well. It gives me a lot of control, but also gives the dog freedom. I got me thinking, God, how many other people get this unsolicited advice about their goals, their dreams, their life? And then, because they're not quite sure what it is they're doing, they listen to this advice and then stop. So the 3 things that we can do when we're listening to this unsolicited advice to basically see if it's going to be helpful or if it's going to hinder us is, number 1, ask yourself, does this person have all of the information? Now, this lady was absolutely lovely, but she didn't have all the information. She went straight into, does your dog need to be on that long line? Almost accusing me of unnecessarily having her on the long line, just because it was an inconvenience to her, because she had to be aware of where it was to make sure she didn't trip over it. Now, when we say, yes, that person had all the information, you have to be honest with yourself. Did that person actually have all the information? Or did they just have the information that you wanted to give them to match your point? For example, if you've got a personal trainer and you're trying to get yourself in shape, and then the trainer says, "Oh, have you had a good week with your food?" And then you say, "Yeah, I have." Now, is that the truth? You may have had a good week, meaning that you haven't eaten junk food, but maybe you've actually skipped some meals. So you're not really saying the full truth. You're just saying the bits you want to make yourself look good. And sometimes we have to realise that we're doing this. And again, everyone does it, the stories that we tell ourselves. It's called confirmation bias. We want to basically confirm our bias to the situation, so we only give out parts of the information. So when someone is giving you advice, whether it's solicited or unsolicited, make sure they've got all the information, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Because then from there, they may actually tailor the advice they give you, and more importantly, may realise you're actually doing a great job. Second thing is when this person is giving you this unsolicited advice, or whatever it may be, ask yourself, does this person have what it is that you want? So I looked at this lady and I thought to myself, is her dog as well-mannered as I would like Luna to be? And the answer was no. Now, don't get me wrong, this dog was not feral by any means, but her recall wasn't great. And she was kind of wandering away and she was having to constantly say the dog's name over and over to get it to come. I think like 3 or 4 times until the dog actually came. Great name, by the way. The dog was called Jarvis. But then it got me thinking, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. And you don't have the results that I want to get, so why would I listen to you? Now, it's not saying I'm being rude. And again, you don't have to be rude when you're doing this, but just realising, okay, are you going to listen to someone that's got no money living on the streets give you advice on how to make money? Probably not. Now, you may do because they may have been a millionaire that lost it all. So it's like, actually, to give me that stuff, but I'm going to remove that. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to listen to that person. You'll listen to them on how not to lose money. She's like, yeah, do you know what? I'm not going to do that. Like, that's great advice. I'm going to do the exact opposite of that. Or again, you've got somebody that's really unhealthy, never been to the gym, giving you health and fitness advice. Or giving you someone who's never run a business advice. All of these things are important. Does this person have the results that you want? If the answer is no, be very cautious about actually listening to them. But if they do have the results that you want, at least you can entertain it. Doesn't mean they're going to be right, but at least you can be like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to consider that. I hadn't thought of it that way. And do you know what? Having considered all the information, I still think that what I'm doing is the right choice. Which then brings me to the third point. Too many chefs spoil the stew. Meaning that everyone is always going to have an opinion. They're always going to have advice. But you have to back yourself and remember that you're doing whatever it is you're doing for your reasons and your reasons alone. And it's okay if people do give you advice, but you don't have to listen. Everyone is always going to have an opinion. You do not have to accept it. You do not have to listen. And I kind of wrote down a bonus point here as well, so we'll call this point number 4, even though I said it's going to be 3. And that is the person that you're getting advice from telling you what you want to know, what you need to know? Because sometimes, especially if it's a friend of ours, they won't, or someone close to us, doesn't even necessarily have to be a friend, they won't tell you what you need to hear. They'll tell you what you want to hear because they maybe don't want to have that conflict or they don't want to lose you as a friend. So just ask yourself, is this person giving me the cold, hard truth that I need to hear, even if it's not what I actually want to hear? Because those are the people you want to make sure you have in your circle, fighting your battles with you. Because you don't just want a yes person. You want people, if you give your opinion and advice and it's not actually going to benefit you, they say, actually, have you thought about this instead? I hope you're taking value from today's episode. Again, it's just off the cuff episode. I just wrote a few little notes down here because I just came off the back of this dog walk. And it really got me thinking how many people probably struggle with unsolicited advice. If this is you or anyone that you know, don't forget to like and share it with a friend. Until next time, take it easy.